nor did he offer any advice, directly or indirectly. Again, Mr. Speaker, I quote the Attorney-General. I had no discussion with the Chief Whip on this subject. None was sought. Now, I don't doubt the Attorney-General's word for a minute, but really? Before that vote, nobody asked the Attorney-General's views on the consequence of not opposing the order. The truth is that the decision not to oppose the order was a political decision taken by the government because it feared it would lose the vote. Mr. Speaker, they didn't want the short-term humiliation of losing a vote, and the price of that was higher than voting against the order. And none of them did it. Mr. Speaker, that's not for the first time. I will in a moment. That's not for the first time. For months, the government has ignored Opposition Day motions, and now their tactic has got them into very deep water indeed. The government cannot come to this House and say, we took a political decision not to oppose the making of the order to publish the full and final advice by the Attorney-General, and then we took a decision not to comply with that order, but somehow we're not in contempt of Parliament.
Sounds pretty contemptuous to me.
The third point I make, Mr. Speaker, is this, and it's about the government's amendment. It's about the government's amendment in the name of the Leader of the House, asking this House to refer the matter of whether the government's response fulfils the motion of the Committee of Privileges. Mr. Speaker, the short point is this. There is nothing to refer. A binding order was made, and the government is refusing to comply with it. The reality is, yet again, by its amendment, the government is simply playing for time in the hope that this ends up in the long grass until the crucial vote is long gone. So, Mr. Speaker, this motion is extremely important. It has huge constitutional and political significance. Bringing the motion is not something I have done lightly. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, on the contrary,
Order. I don't need somebody yelling rather stupidly from a sedentary position, give way. The right honourable and learned gentleman will give way if and when he wants to do so. And that's the end of the matter. And the same will apply when the Leader of the House is on her feet. Let me just make it clear, these are extremely serious matters, and the public is entitled to expect that this debate will be conducted with courtesy. However long it takes, that is what will happen. Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not taking the decision lightly because I understand the constitutional and political significance of this motion. On the contrary, we have raised points of order on a number of occasions about this order. We've asked urgent questions, and I have repeatedly urged the government to reconsider its position, both publicly and privately, making it clear of the consequence of not doing so. But the government has chosen not to do so. I urge the government now, even at this 11th hour, to think again, to stop, to pull back from the brink of being found in contempt of Parliament. This motion, Mr. Speaker, is a last resort. The issue before us is simple. This House passed a binding order. The government is wilfully refusing to comply with that order. That is contempt of Parliament.
Order. Yes, the right honourable and learned gentleman has very clearly completed his speech. The question is as on the order paper. To move the amendment, I call the Leader